Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the fastest player in the game, weighing in at over 600 average actions per minute, the Italian stallion. It's Reynor. Up against the rank 1 Protoss player in the world, the mysterious MaxPax. A best of 5 Protoss versus Zerg showdown on the new proposed StarCraft 2 balance patch and part of Team Basilisk's Big Brain Bouts event. Every Friday night on Roddy's channel, link in the description, the smartest players get together to play the absolute best games. But I think there's one smarter set of people. Those that skip all the stress and instead enjoy for free right here after smashing that like button and maybe even subscribing. And Jimmy, what are we at? One more. 1,465 likes on this video on this cast, and I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways, but thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. MaxPax with a Stargate here on ley lines, with the removal of shield battery overcharge and the addition of energy recharge. MaxPax has even more tools at his disposal. Whereas on the other side of things, with Queens being 25 more minerals, we're still worth it. But hatcheries being 25 less, Zergs are kind of in an awkward spot. It becomes a little harder for the probe to get in the way of the hatchery. But at the same time, in my experience, I played a couple hundred games on the new patch. Okay, a little less than that. Over 100, less than 2. Not important. It feels like your shoes are a little too small or too big. Metaphorically, of course. Who wears shoes while playing? But having 25 more or less minerals at awkward times. I've been playing StarCraft 2, not nearly as well as these players, but for most of MaxPax's life, at the very least. And after 14 plus years of a queen costing 150 minerals and a hatchery costing 300, changing those, I fear change. Okay? That's why we only change the like count by 1 every single video, because too much change at once is scary. But this patch, once again, we are, let's put it nicely, we are enthusiastically encouraging Protoss to relearn the early game. We're not forcing them, we're not coercing them, but instead we're offering them completely new and different tools that can either fit the current sort of builds or destroy them. So we'll see which one it is, because now the Spore Crawler does 5 more damage, 15 to 20, which means that an Oracle can only take, I believe it's 8 hits in total, and it's only 3 hits for its shields to be taken down. So no more poking in. Well, you see what happens. Just a single drone there. I think we don't have the drone counter thing, but we'll keep this tab up. 4 drones dead, but the Oracle's taking quite a bruising on the way around. So even though the Oracles are probably less likely to get the damage done, Zergs are kind of forced to have a few less drones. You have to build the spores. And the queens, they add up. You can't not build the queens. All right, unless the Brood War Hydra somehow shows up and becomes part of the meta, which has been discussed, but is very unlikely to happen. The Queen is absolutely necessary for early, mid, and late game Zerg, and unfortunately, it seems like they abandoned their posts as the Shady Bunch gets into the natural. Zerglings on top of it, but jammed in between the minerals, those Zerglings can't get too much of a hold. And, wow, the field runs red with the blood of Zerg. The Adepts will eventually be cleaned up, but Reynor down 10 workers. He's lost 10 drones, 20 Zerglings. He's going to finish off the Adepts, but at what cost? A strong timing from the Adepts. Reynor tried to take a quick fourth. He succeeded at that, and oh, we have the little indicator. So on this map, there are reduced mineral fields, about 150 minerals. Exactly 150 minerals to start, not about. Which takes just over about 2.5 minutes to mine with 2 on there. To unlock the gas. It actually physically blocks building a gas geyser, because a gas geyser is slightly larger than the gas itself, which kind of makes sense. Most of this is to prevent people from just taking the base and doing Ravager all-ins. which, to be fair, has worked. But Reynor wants to get that mining as soon as possible. MaxPax the same. The forward base, obviously a bit risky in many ways for both sides, whether it's lurkers or oracles, or maybe even, well, there's a Robobay on the way, so Colossi are on the table. But it is more of a late game option as opposed to an early game cheese. Zerglings get in, pick off a couple probes. Reynor's caught up in the worker count. MaxPax has his trademark Blinkstalkers and +1 finishing up, and no one uses these units like him. But, well, there's plenty of roaches. +1 ranged attack about to complete. Reynor has quite a supply lead here, but the stasis wards at the back line, and a couple sentries could help out. There's not that many roaches, and roach speed is not done yet, so it's a bit of it. Where's the rest of the army from Reynor? Trying to come around. He knows the stasis wards are there, but the force field's isolating a queen and assassinating her as well. And another stasis acting as a force field, a guardian shield. The sentry will be taken down, but just a piecemeal attack here from Reynor will allow the stalkers to take solid trades throughout. And Reynor started this fight up about 30 supply, and he'll end it with about half that of a lead. And now here's the problem at the end of the day. Reynor is down 10 workers. He has no other tech. He's just building more roaches and lings, and the observer sees it. Meanwhile, MaxPax has arguably too many probes. He's building +2. He's getting Colossi so he can cut the lings from the roaches, the wheat from the chaff, and make it easier to fight. But Reynor needs to just crush this right here, right now. And unfortunately, the stasis will say, stop right there, criminal scum. And the stalkers will be able to slink away. Several of them died in the process, but I don't think Reynor can come up that ramp against such a stalker count. In fact, he has 23 stalkers to 22 roaches, and those numbers...
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
Reynor gonna go for Tunneling Claws and Burrow, which he's trying to work with what he has, and what he has are a bunch of roaches, and that's about it. If he takes too much time to try to get to lurkers or an infestation pit for either hive or swarm hosts, MaxPax is just a hop, skip, and a blink away. So he's just trying to work with what he has and maybe throw the game into chaos. MaxPax at 83 probes. He's building a second robo. He's getting 2 more gates. He's getting a 5th base, which, yeah, MaxPax not so. He's treating this like Reynor's going into a full-on macro game. And to his knowledge, there's nothing to dispute that. With the Rich Vespine here especially, he could just be going straight up to Hive. But as soon as he sees the Tunneling Claws upgrade on those roaches, well, a big clutch of roaches headed by. The stalkers at the front alongside the Colossi, but Zerglings at the third. Roaches streaming into the natural. And a recall, but he recalls to the front base, which means Reynor will have a little bit more time in order to work on the probes. He gets into the main with the roaches. Burrow is done. He manages to burrow several roaches, really living up to their name with him. He's got some Zerglings in the third, and he cleared out the cannon, then burrowed the lings. He's going to kill off a few more. Still, MaxPax maintains a worker lead, but another attack is coming to the north side. The main base has been mostly cleaned up, but still a couple roaches underneath. The Roach Ravager working on a pylon at the front base. The 5th base seems like a freebie for the roaches and Zerglings. But now, the roaches really living up to their namesake here. Just getting absolutely everywhere throughout the base, and MaxPax doesn't have an easy way to fumigate the place. Meanwhile, 11 more roaches and +2 ranged attack. That's it. That's all he has. More roaches. Gonna hold down the R key, both to burrow and build units, or very much just as likely die trying. The Colossi incinerating the drones on the high ground. The Rich Vespine guys are still going. Warp Prism in the main. Repositioning it, I guess. Meanwhile, MaxPax is down to 51 probes. Reynor's done some real damage here, but the army supply knocks down a Colossus. The gas geysers taken down. And now, meanwhile, look at the supply. It's just, MaxPax's army is just better at fighting. But the stalkers are kind of getting caught out. The queens are angrily marching across. The Oracle trying to get involved, but the Queens might be enough. Reynor down 20 supply. He's losing his lair in the main base as MaxPax strikes back with a vengeance. Meanwhile, he's actually managed to take out the Oracle, but the lair falls. MaxPax has rebuilt in fact, he's building 4 probes at a time. Reynor managed to drag this into chaos, but he wasn't quite able to drag MaxPax down and beat him with experience. MaxPax holds on to his bases, he holds on to the economic lead, and he holds on to enough of his army supply to still be very, very much in control of this game. He's got Archons on the way. He's working on +3. He hasn't really slowed down his tech progression, except when his probes were actively dying. Throughout, he still has 2 robos, 8 gates. It's plenty of infrastructure. Reynor is going to have to rely on the corrosive biles, but the Archons, ooh. The Archons are a lot to ask. Reynor's now lost 39 yards. The Colossi just stepping up and burning out what they can. But an upgrade advantage with a better army. Maybe if Reynor can find MaxPax and pull out his Ethernet cable, he's got a chance here, but it's just not gonna be it. There's cannons blocking out. He's trying to flank around. The Queen's coming up. Here comes the best fight Reynor could put together. It's not nearly good enough. The Archon's boxing out. There's plenty of Stalkers. He's trickling through the Archons, and for a moment it might look good, but that moment will pass. Here come the Zealots. GG! MaxPax holds it down in game 1, and Reynor caught in an awkward spot trying to expand too fast and getting caught. I don't blame him for trying to pull the 4th base on MaxPax, but he knew exactly what to do. The measured aggression. What are we doing with these maps? Leylines is a new map, but we've lost other maps in the past. But then, apparently, we found them. Welcome back to Lost and Found, which I can't remember which version of Cloud Kingdom this is and what year it was used, or years in the map pool. But it reminds intense nostalgia, but also a bit of confusion. So we're playing on the new patch on quite old maps, but it is still Legacy of the Void map, which means it follows your pretty standard formula. I'm not sure, maybe Roddy's just letting him pick any map from Legacy of the Void, which would be highly amusing. Don't know if this is Reynor's pick or not. Or maybe Roddy just picks it. I'm not sure. But interesting to see this popping up. I'm trying to remember if there are any quirks. There's no watchtowers. There's really not that many bases, despite the size of the map. If you look at the mini-map. I know. Most people don't see it there in the corner, but here you go. There's really, what is it, 6 bases per side? Ah, yes. So, and they're all incredibly far apart. So if we were going to get, not really a late game, but kind of a more macro-oriented game, well, I think here it would be. Many maps, as the game goes on, have you expanding closer to one another. Where ley lines, another example of that. I guess you got the outlying bases, but the 4th base being out in front. There are options for the sides, but still pretty wide open. But these Cloud Kingdom iterations, and in this one, looking very similar. Those who remember, the first sort of turtley platform map in the history of StarCraft 2 was known as Cloud Kingdom. And we've based, well, a whole many generations, like iPhones, okay? Cloud Kingdoms. They're reskinned a bit, maybe a couple new fancy features that players may or may not use. We'll charge another few dozen videos of clickbait, and then it'll end up being the same thing. But we'll see here. Void Ray for MaxPax. The queen... Brenda! Get... Where did you think you were going? I just wanted to see what was up there. We have overlords for that. But they get to fly. I don't want to be reminded of just... How many times? All right, just stop. It's time... Not since the war. That's enough. Sorry. I was too busy cringing. Third base being attempted by MaxPax while the Zerglings are murdering the Adepts. The Void Ray will give them a nice deep tissue massage as they kill the Nexus. And force a cancel. He comes back around for another pass, goes for the probe. Will get the probe, but with the help of the Oracle now, and an energy recharge on that Oracle to top it back up, MaxPax will be able to establish it. So, Reynor so far not taking nearly the early damage to the Oracles and Adepts. Part of that because there wasn't an early Oracle, and the Adepts were shut down. MaxPax's just gonna do a casual Tempest. I'm gonna go with Tempest Rush. Mothership Rush? It's possible. The new patch Mothership. It can't be abducted, not that that's relevant at this stage of the game, but also does significantly more damage. Can attack 4 targets at a time as well, but is back to 400. So, you know, I think this might be a Mothership Rush. I certainly hope so. Tempest make more sense, but MaxPax has so much. Give me it. Come on. Come on! He's not building Tempest. We know what he wants. Sir, build the Mothership. Stop microing your Adepts and killing... Hey. I said... Oh. 2 carriers? Boo this man. Boo him like Protoss cannot, because they don't have mouths. If I don't see a Mothership before the carriers are revealed, I'm going to be quite upset. It's going to ruin my clickbait opportunities. We'll find something. I'm sure there's a new meta strategy that's insane and crazy in the way that Protoss should be played on the new patch. But we'll see if Reynor can face it, or if it's too insanely strong. Adepts jammed into the corner, back to back. Quite cinematic. Will drag all the Zerglings back, and there's no knowledge of this at all. He's going to be blindsided. If he doesn't start building a Spire immediately, Reynor's in so much trouble. Well... the Zerglings. Did he see it? There was a small, tiny, infinitesimal... There's a split-second glimpse, but he didn't notice. He's gonna see the gases. Oh, he didn't quite see the carriers. Well, now he did. Oh, no. The carriers have arrived. More spores on the way. No, not that. Well, the queens are in position. Brenda, call everyone! We're already here, and who picks up their phone nowadays? I don't... Queens are holding the line, just knocking out the interceptors. He's microing. He's microing the carriers to kill the drones. Carrier drone harass is certainly one of the options, but honestly, the interceptors just get knocked out of the sky. Spore Crawler doing a great job at knocking this out. The Zergling counterattack. Baneling's rolling in. Reynor just going with the age-old, when your opponent's doing something weird, go fucking kill them strategy. And right now, energy recharge on the Oracle to try to keep things going. Baneling's rolling in for more. The carriers are mildly inconveniencing one of these hatcheries. But the carriers really need to be back at home to defend. A Sporchard has come together outside the third. The interceptor count is not so high that it can't be contested. The base might be taken down, but the queens are here. And with Transfuse, they might be able to take out a few more of these interceptors themselves. Though, very importantly, there is a +1 attack upgrade here, which really helps out against the queens on those carriers. So Reynor is going to kill the third, but the carriers... Well, another Sporus coming together. Well, this is certainly... This is, there's a Spire on the way. He's working on... Is that the Carapace upgrade? We don't even have any of the icons here. I don't know, like Roddy. Carapace upgrade finishing up. A single Infestor Microbial Shroud, which now sticks. We haven't even seen a single use of the new Microbial Shroud, which now sticks to units for a few seconds. Gets them all slathered up in the Shroud, so they don't take nearly as much damage. 50% less damage from air. We might see the only use case of this. Well, the Infestor's popping out. So usually Microbial Shroud's pretty mediocre because Storm exists, but you can't get Storm when your entire base is dying to Zerglings. He's forced to recall back the carriers. And, well, here we are. What is happening? So Reynor killed the third base. He has 3... Well, he has the 4th, technically, up to the north side. He's working on a hive. I'm surprised Neural Parasite hasn't entered the production tab, because there's not even... There is no detection right now for MaxPax. A Neural Parasite could potentially win the game outright. Can that Oracle kill the hatch? I think MaxPax is thinking about the math there, but it's unlikely. Either way, well, Templar joining the field. MaxPax's gonna try to hit a timing here, ideally before Reynor has an answer. But the Queen Moot is coming together. There are a dozen queens on the field and ready to battle the carriers head on. Unfortunately, there are Archons now and +1, as well as some Void Rays. So a variety pack of units that are really good in team games, but probably not nearly as good in this exact scenario. Let's see it! Give me the Shroud! Stop hitting your own queens. Adrenal glands on the way. Ultralisk Cavern as well. And Baneling's rolling in. It's time. Give me the Shroud. Yeah! And you see, that Shroud's still coating. Like a lathery smog on those units. They still have it for a few seconds off creep. I think it's 3.6 seconds, which I think works out to 5 seconds in old StarCraft time because of some quirks of it, so. I believe that's the same amount of time Storm lasts, which is probably not much of a coincidence. Meanwhile, Zerglings at the third. MaxPax, okay. He's building a mothership now. Recall's back. Okay, now what? Huh. MaxPax has survived. There are 2 Ultralisks on the way. This is one of the weirdest games, both on the new patch and in general, that I've seen. Ultralisk. MaxPax still has the carriers. That's what it keeps coming back to. There's still 4 carriers to be contended with. And that's enough that you can't just ignore them. Maybe with the Ultras. 2 carriers, okay. 4 carriers, too many. 6 carriers, and, well, that's just an air army then. So we're at that awkward spot. Stasis catches a whole bunch of Zerglings. Ultralisk popping out. The Infestors gets 1 fungal, knocks out the Void Rays. Another fungal pops an Infestor, but Microbial Shroud. The Storm, no damage reduced there, but the Microbial Shroud helps out a lot. Zerglings running around. Ultras. So There's no immortals. He's starting his first robotics facility. The Ultras can just ignore the carriers with their chitinous plating and chew through, knock out the Templar, and then allow any sort of anti-air to swing in and win the game. This is still Reynor's game, I think, to lose. But there's a lot of paths he could take that end in disaster. One particularly bad foe, oh, the mothership! The Overlords! Getting attacked by the very cool new mothership. Oh my. Well, this is awkward. It's actually Overlord hunting with a mothership, which is certainly one of the things you can do. I don't think that was the main goal. Bashes through the cyber core. Sentry holds the door, but he does deny any of the upgrades. A single Zergling actually gets it and kills the sentry and then tries to escape. The mothership is still hanging out on the other side of the map, but the queens are not! Brenda! Who's left at home? There will be no home. One of us will die, and one of us will live! What does that... It was meant to be profound. Ultras on the ground. Mothership. But the mothership is killing the drones, while the Ultras... Does he just recall? Are we base trading? Is that a good idea? I think right now MaxPax is desperately trying to figure that out. Mothership drone harass! Meanwhile, the Queen's marching forth. Stasis will protect a couple. The Ultras just chewing through. Microbial Shroud. Enough Queens on the creep to transfuse. Zerglings from the back. Ultras chewing in the front. Parasitic Bomb. Time Warp on the ground. More transfuses. Parasitic Bomb getting spread all over the air. The Ultras can't see shit on the ground. There's no detection. But the mothership dies, and with it the cloak. The Ultras are still chewing. They're chopping through absolutely everything on the ground. And throughout all of this, the carriers have survived. But they just can't kill the Ultras. The Ultras will live. And the amount of effort Reynor has to put in to kill these carriers is ridiculous. But the Ultras have done their work. And they have enough armor to withstand the carriers for a while longer. Reynor is finally building corruptors. The North! Oh, that's sad. Despite all of it, the carriers are still... And another mothership on the way. Sorry, I'm supposed to say something. I'm not sure. There's still... Oh, here come the Corruptors. He dives in with the Parasitic Bomb. There's no Templar underneath. Does he have a recall? It's way too late to recall. He's trying to fight. The Parasitic Bomb is doing terrible, terrible damage. And the carriers are swept out of the sky. And with great effort, eventually Reynor will claim victory. Not so much over... Well, it was more of a battle less of who wins and who's left. Wow. What an exhausting game to tie things up. But finally does so. Reynor killed the third base 3-4 times. Effectively. MaxPax refused to die because nothing could kill the carriers until the very end. Reynor pretty notorious for not going for the Spire for Corruptors unless literally he's out of options. And it almost cost him everything there. Okay. Alright. Well, we don't wait for anyone here. If you want to pause and like and subscribe, well, be my guest. But otherwise, we're chrono boosting into Game 3 on Data C. Another nostalgic map that graced the map pool for, I think it was like 2-3 years on this one. It's been a while. But I do wonder if it's just loser's pick. We'll find out. Reynor able to survive. Oh my. That was an emotionally distressing game. Reynor lost pretty much the same amount MaxPax did. It's just he would manage to mine just enough more to survive the carriers eventually. MaxPax plays an infuriating sort of Protoss, which is the most effective. Not just the early rushes and cheese, but the follow-up to back it up. And that's what makes him so dangerous. Stargate. Kind of felt like Reynor was just throwing things at MaxPax to see what sticks. Doesn't inspire a ton of confidence. So far, personally, I'm looking for some sort of answer to the mid to late game Protoss, which is a bit stronger. It was already pretty strong, especially against players without super hands like myself. I make my money with my mouth, not my hand. Don't worry, Protoss don't make any money at all. So, for multiple related reasons. Moving on. Very quickly, ideally. That mid to late game, especially against either Storm, Carriers, or both. Not seeing too many original answers from Reynor that aren't throw things at him and hope it sticks. Which, you know, was kind of the Zerg motto for a while in ZVP, if your name wasn't Dark or Cyril, so. We'll see what we got in game number 3. Oracle comes in, burns out a drone. Thinking about another, but already another spore. Reynor off to a pretty comfortable 3-base start. Plenty of drones as well. Stasis. But the spore should give... yeah, the spore gives detection. Might just drop a stasis to block a 4th base. Twilight and Forge behind. So, does he have the gases? Yes, but there's a robo on the way very early. So this may very well just be charge instead of the blink. Which, something to mix it up. That's the ideal way to play Protoss, especially at this level. Show them the same thing, and then pick another card. When they're preparing for the Blink Stalker timing, when they get slammed with charge lots and Archons. Oh, no Archons, but they're kind of implied with that many gases. Sometimes you can just outright win the game. Templar Archives on the way. Especially considering Reynor's interest in going for the mass Zergling styles. Very effective against either a Stargate Rush, and quite good against Blinkstalkers, but not nearly as strong against the upgraded Archons and Zealots, which are well equipped to slice right through. Even if they're Banelings. Banelings cause gas. Zealots, this is true, do not. Alright, write that down. Or don't. Alright. There's the Baneling nest. Reynor hasn't seen anything decisive yet. He's got a lair on the way, and very importantly, he hasn't built a Roach Warren at all. So, he's kind of anticipating the Blink +1. And will be at least somewhat surprised, I think, by the Archons and Charge Lots. Does he have any info on this? There's a Hydra Den, but not an atypical start. Especially if you suspect Blinkstalkers going straight for the Hydras. And the 4th base, optimistic from MaxPax. The Zealots will get surrounded and ripped apart moments before they finish their charge, and pretty far off the +1. Oracles light up and burn out a few more. But into the main, 2 spore crawlers and a few zerglings. War Prism takes some critical damage. Almost goes down. If Reynor is able to pick off the Prism and the Archons with minimal losses, that goes a long way towards making up the tech gap here. But just going to try to fight it heads up. Oracle's behind. A similar attack timing to the Blinkstalkers, but a much more finicky one to defend. Archon, slurp back up into the Prism. Hydra's on the way. So far, so good, Reynor. Able to shut this down easily. Has more than enough Zerglings with their upgrade on the ground. 11 Hydras on the way. Single Zealot will spot the Hydra. Actually clicked onto the drones. Of which Reynor sitting at 68. MaxPax, 70 probes. Now getting that 4th base. And Storm is on the way. Knowing that Reynor's likely going to survive long enough to get enough units to overwhelm the Archons, which are great at that like 100 to 150 supply timing. But if you don't have anything else to back it up and they got mass Hydraling Bane, you will get overrun. Immortals and Archons are good, but Storm is better. The only downside is the investment, the general cost, and the fact that High Templar can get washed away by a strong gust of wind. Infestation pit for Reynor. Brent, where are you going? Why are you hiding in the bushes? Stop being weird. I'm a creeper. Oh my god, Karen. Storm nearly completed. Lurker, Den, and Hive on the way. Reynor rushing directly up into that late game tech. Gonna try to circumvent this army entirely. But MaxPax not having it. The Queens get caught out as the Archons come around the corner. One of the Queens gets obliterated. Another... Well, serves you right. The Archons leading the charge. Storms are a real threat here, but the Hydras with a great arc around softens up. Ooh, the Storm's evaporating several Hydras, softening up more. Now Archon's on the way. There's already a fleet beacon in production. As MaxPax is boxing out for the switch into late game Sky Toss. Reynor is angling towards Lurkers. There will be a window, a relatively small one, but especially after knocking out the War Prism and dealing with the Zealots in the main, there will be a window for Reynor to potentially get damage done with Lurkers. He's got the Lurker range already on the way. Adrenal Glands, +1 ranged attack and Carapace. This is a small but fierce army out of MaxPax. 5 Archons, 3 high-energy Templar, few sentries, not sentries, Oracles and Stalkers alongside. Hydra Dash on the way, as well as a whole bunch of Lurkers. Mothership is the first choice for MaxPax. And then the carriers, making up for last game. And Reynor's just building Lurkers. He's building so many Lurkers. He only has 13 Hydras. Has he scouted any...
Swarm forces under attack.
Good choice on Abathur. MaxPax is selling him on the Immortal Archon. This is the kind of style that Reynor plays when he's playing Protoss, which is a not insignificant amount of the time. So Reynor knows how dangerous the well-controlled Immortal Archon can be, but MaxPax is doing such a great job of selling it right now. Oh my god, how many Hydras? He only has 6 Hydras left. He has absolutely no idea the carriers are on the way. MaxPax has completely bamboozled him right here. And I'm sure Reynor knows in the back of his mind eventually carriers are going to be the answer, but he's clearly not suspecting it this quickly. It's going to be an incredibly rude awakening. There's only 3 Hydras. If there are as many carriers as there are Hydras, that is not good for the Zerg. More great analysis if you like and subscribe. Meanwhile, a mothership counter. The tactical mothership, he catches the Zerglings in a time warp, which seems a bit gratuitous. They'll still outrun it pretty easily. The base is taken out. The mothership in position to potentially recall. The lurkers will burrow down, and that may be the trigger for this. The mothership in position, mass recalls forward, trying to outposition the lurkers. I don't know how far he's going to be able to get with that, but the spine crawler's in place to chop away at what they can. Not enough carriers to really overwhelm this position. But Reynor's in an awkward spot. He's got so many, he's got 19 lurkers, but it's hard to find a place to use them. There's cannons and storm already set on the high ground. Meanwhile, the anti-air is a handful of queens, a few spores, and whatever hydras he's able to put together. No spire on the way at all. No vipers either. No infestors whatsoever in production. Reynor has a lot of minerals, but barely any gas in the bank. Whereas MaxPax is still comfortably mining both minerals and gas, and building up an even larger bank. He's working on that +2 flyer attack, +3 ground. Reynor's got +3 melee and +2 ranged. He's trying to bait MaxPax into an awkward fight. He might even be able to pick off one of these carriers. But who's flanking who? The lurkers are barring the way. But a few charge lots will drag some units out of position. Revelation spots it. Might be able to just fight heads up. Tempest, in order to break the siege. MaxPax playing such a patient game. He knows he has the better army. But if he's caught out of position, he can still lose it very, very quickly. Between the lurkers and the hydras, if he doesn't have Templar or his carriers are strung out, they're easily picked off. Technically, Hydra dash is done, though I'm not sure. It is quite difficult to use while doing anything else, but if anyone's going to use it, well, I think Reynor is on the short list. That is a lot of lurkers and hydras. The groovy spines and the seismic ones. Gonna try to break through. The cannons doing their job of stalling this out. The lurker count, so damn high. Tempest trying to chew away at it with the revelation, a hugely important part of this. Spire just now begins. Reynor's able to cut out one of the bases. It's now 4 bases to 4. But MaxPax has so much more money in the bank. Charge lots, I guess there was a stasis left over. And the lurkers trying to reposition somewhat. Changelings in position. Reynor will kind of restabilize. But MaxPax is building up that late game death ball. He's adding in the Tempest to carve away at the lurkers. Much more reliable than the carriers for that purpose. Though also a bit vulnerable. Meanwhile, lurkers underneath Storm. Softens up some more Hydras. Going for the natural. Might be able to get the Cyber Core, which would be helpful. Reynor clearly trying to buy time to get the Spire online. Mothership. Time Warp is available. He's gonna fight somewhat. That Time Warp. Oh, he eats forward. He actually picks off the Mothership. The Hydra dash there. Paying off. And actually, Reynor with the Mothership kill. Are there enough Hydras left? The answer is not really. Even without the Storm, I don't think there's enough anti-air. And the Storms have arrived. Reynor trying to fight, but he's lost 49 Hydras. MaxPax has not lost a singular carrier. Well, quite a Sportist put together here. The Spores have less HP, but more damage. So, easier to take out if you get close enough, but a little bit better at backstopping. 8 Dropper Lords on the way. A Hail Mary move. Probably a desperate drop into the main. Gonna try to clear out the watchtower. The rest of the army. Mothership is halfway done, but this is an army still worthy of contention. A couple good storms and it could just cleave its way through. Still pushing. More carriers on the way. Reynor's fighting a delaying action. The Dropper Lords, a mass Lurker Hydra drop is on the way. Tempest shelling. No tectonic destabilizers. A very bold inject from that queen. Oh, Hydra dash directly into the storms. Quite a crazy move, but the drop? The mothership here to greet it. And there's no detection. So the cloaking, well, not going to be that helpful. He mass recalls, but it gets taken out. Oh, actually a bit of a mistake out of MaxPax, overcommitting with his second mothership. And now the main base is faltering. The lurkers are just slicing through, but he's going to recall directly on the Nexus. The Hydras are softened up. There's almost no anti-air left. Most of the ground army will get taken out on both sides. But what does Reynor have left? He actually took out the fleet beacon. But there are still Stargates producing. MaxPax has so much money in the bank. And Reynor doesn't. Now we're gonna try to do the same fight, but with less units. I don't know. I do know, actually. It's not going to go well. No Corruptors, no Microbial Shroud, nothing but 2Gs as Reynor taps out yet again, this time around MaxPax with a incredibly smooth transition into Sky Toss. Reynor was caught so far off guard, he had maybe 3 Hydras, if that, to deal with the carriers when they arrived. So clearly blindsided. But, well, we will see. Reynor looking a bit lost against the late game Protoss. MaxPax solidifying his dominance at that part of the matchup. He is nearly undefeated against Zerg recently, especially in the new balance patch, but just in general. As if he's allowed to get to like that 8-minute mark without dying outright, he looks almost impossible to beat, no matter what the unit composition is. Reynor's only victory so far, I need not remind you, was MaxPax carrier rushing, losing almost everything, and still almost dragging the game out into a victory. Reynor only barely put it together before losing his entire base to carriers, with the Ultras just ignoring them. So far, no direct answer to the carriers, and that is, in my opinion, just to editorialize a bit. So, I like the mothership change. I think the mothership being abducted by Vipers, very, very dumb. It looked dumb, silly thing in general. But at the same time, many of the changes, both to the Hydras having slightly less speed on creep, the Queen costing a bit more, the Microbial Shroud change is something, I guess, but it was already a real struggle to deal with the Sky Toss Armada. Zerg don't have EMP, so it doesn't get any easier with the mothership being a more permanent threat. And so far, Reynor not coming up with an answer either. Now, what would I change? Now, that's a dangerous question. I think at the very least we give some water balloons to like the Viper and the Infestor. Would that matter for MaxPax versus Reynor? I don't think very much. But occasionally you'll see a Viper Infestor just wander into the fray. If they had an auto attack like the High Templar or the Ghost, then obviously it would be a little easier to keep them alive. Now, past that, no buff to Microbial Shroud is going to solve the problem of Storm. Like, Microbial Shroud before was just, oh, storm me here. And now it's storm me in this general area. And with the energy recharge, actually probably a more relevant part than the mothership change, with the energy recharge giving even more prevalent storms in the later game, is not going to get any easier. Speaking of energy recharge, puts it on the Oracle and then just, yep, that's an Overlord right there. Take care of it, sir. Thank you very much. And behind it, this looks like Glaive to Depths to me. MaxPax looking at a third variation of Twilight Council follow-up. It's just straight up blank. Sorry, I keep zoning out trying to think of the late game. It's hard because any late game changes you make, like if you nerf Protoss in a particular way, that makes Terran stronger. I've always advocated for something I think will never happen, which makes it easy to advocate for, I guess, which is plus damage versus, instead of saying versus biological, or versus mechanical. We have versus shield. Just say versus Zerg or Terran. Here's a tag. The Oracle is a Protoss mechanical armored unit. Okay? And now units can do +5 to Protoss, specifically, as opposed to biological or I think that would make it a lot easier to directly address any concerns, though admittedly a lot less immersive, I guess. Not that that would really matter to anyone who's not... Anyone who's looking at a spreadsheet of numbers is already unimmersed, let's be honest here. EVE Online players. Factorio players. You know, honestly, I'm just gonna insult most of my demographic. Put your Warhammer miniatures down. Alright? Put your chat GPT coding for you away. Alright? Stop pretending like you're gonna play ladder while you're looking at direct strike. That one's a little less likely, but... And focus on liking and subscribing, I guess. I didn't really have a follow-up to that, but... So Reynor with more than enough roaches and langs to drive back the Blink Stalkers. He's got 4 bases up and running. MaxPax kind of vetoing the Blink attack before it started, instead backing off on seeing so many units, which does give Reynor a bit of an economic lead, though MaxPax coming in again right after Reynor did a round of drones. So, still an opportunity here to get the damage done, but the Zerglings, oh wow, beautiful positioning. The Adept, the Oracle, right where they need to be. The Zerglings, gonna try to wrap around the Stasis! No! He catches just the right amount of roaches. Oh, that was perfect. He dodged, he mitigated the first Stasis, and the second one caught him directly head on. In fact, that's almost too many roaches, so that MaxPax wasn't able to pick off very many. At some point, if the stasis is too good, you kind of just have to move on with your life and wait for it to run out. Ideally, you catch like 5 or 6 roaches instead of 10. But beggars can't be choosers. Storm on the way. +1. MaxPax has not really kept much pressure on when it comes to the economy. Look at the supply, 160 to 110. MaxPax down 50. Of course, the army value is kind of comparable. A little bit more for Reynor, but it is roaches. Roaches just... The white bread of units. Alright? Like... Boring. Tasteless. Not the caster. Maybe. Just... There's nothing there. He has roach speed and no other upgrades. All potatoes and no meat. kills his own stasis. Odd maneuver there, but Storm is on the way. Reynor trying to hammer the point home. He's got to go now, or it's going to be closer to never. Storm is almost done. The blink retreats back, gives up the fourth base, but the storms wash over the Roach Ravager. Actually saved somewhat by the stasis. Helps him mitigate some of the storm. MaxPax down 80 supply as the Roach Ravager bashes its way through. He's still got a lot of Blink Stalkers here to work with, though. And MaxPax whittling down. The Oracle uncontested in the sky. Energy recharge still on cooldown for another 20 seconds or so. The Blink Stalkers guiding back. Still 69 workers apiece. A nice economy for both sides to perpetuate the aggression, but not much more than that. MaxPax blinking for his life. If he blinks too far, then he'll lose a bunch of probes or maybe even the base. If he blinks too short, then he'll lose all his stalkers. It's a careful balance, just like the game itself. And right now, energy recharge onto the Oracle is going to help out. The Roach Ravager still breaking through. Another wave of corrosive bout, but the Oracles just keep racking up the damage. Target firing down the Ravagers. 19 kills on the Oracles. 8 more on another. Burns through the last Ravager. Goes with the probes. Knocks out a few more. And the Roaches, the Queens! Brenda! Where is everyone? They're dying too fast! Run away! Ah! MaxPax has turned it. He turned it all around. Reynor up 80 supply, unable to capitalize. And MaxPax with an immaculate defense, making full use of energy recharge multiple times over. Great Blink Stalker micro to buy space and time and whittle down the numbers in order to make sure the Oracles could get the damage to turn the tide. It's not over yet. But it's not going to get much easier for Reynor. He has to rely on catching MaxPax out of position, catching him without the storms, and so far, he's been anything but. An Immortal has joined the composition. Reynor, he has the army to try to capitalize. But MaxPax, the closer he gets to 200 supply, the harder. Well, if he gets to 200 supply, it doesn't really matter. He's going to have enough units to deal with it either way. So Reynor on borrowed time now. Trying desperately to smash MaxPax before he puts it all together. And he's got one more shot. One opportunity. Will he capture it? Or will MaxPax rip it away from him? Another fight, trying to catch it up, but no. The Observer gave him some forewarning. The Oracle's still racking up the damage. And MaxPax just looking impregnable right now. Immaculate defense. Fleet beacons on the way. And here we go again. Another storm. A stasis box is out. Reynor actually hitting the third base, but there's not too many units to defend. But the Stalkers will come back around in time, and the stasis mitigated the worst of it. There's enough Stalkers, he's just stepping right through. Blinks out of the corrosive bile. Another set of roaches. Reynor, he's working on a hive, he's getting a Hydra Den. +2 ranged attack is on the way. Alright. Reynor has not taken any economic damage, so even though his attack did not outright win the game, he still has plenty of income to work with. It's just, he invested so much in the attack, his tech did not progress, and now he's going to be behind on it. MaxPax already working towards the fleet beacon before the hive is even done. Mothership is the choice, the first choice off the beacon. And the Warp Prism at the back. Another wave of charge launch. Roach Ravager trying to deal with this. And MaxPax has taken the supply lead for the first time maybe in the game. The Immortals, he's going to chop up another hatchery. Lurker Den's on the way, but we're going to find ourselves in the same position as before. where at best Reynor will have some lurkers and hydras against a fully operational Sky Toss army. If you came here looking for answers to solve the Sky Toss question, I think you're going to be disappointed. If you came here looking to see whether Protoss has a chance against the Zerg, well, that's very much more of an open question. As the charge lots into the third, the storms laying into the roaches, washing across the board. And the Ravagers will melt along with Reynor's dreams of having a chance of bringing back this series. The mothership not even done, but will cap it all off. The final score is MaxPax 3 to Reynor's 1. And even the game that Reynor won really felt like more of a survival than it did a decisive victory. So, an interesting exchange, and hopefully an entertaining one. But thank you to Roddy and Team Basilisk. Make sure to check them out every Friday night, or the Team Basilisk YouTube channel as well, for the matches right after the fact. And otherwise, I hope I made your day just a little bit better. If you got the means and motivation, be awesome. Check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So if you want to check out another match as well, Zerg versus Protoss, suggest check out one with the Hydra in the thumbnail. Something like alarming new Zerg strategy or some stupid clickbait like that. But that was also one of the most fun Protoss versus Zergs I've seen on the new patch. And I'm looking forward to more, but if you got suggestions, of course, I'll take them under advisement. Probably ignore them, but every once in a while. Well, thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.